Yo, in this video, we'll be looking at creepy and strange TikToks that are going to make you question reality.
D stands for District of Columbia. So our country is ruled by the District of Columbia. Well, who's Columbia?
I always question
we
that.
walk over there to the Capitol building, and there's Columbia perched on top. Well, we walk into the Capitol building, and there's the original sculpture that the one on the roof was made from, right there. And we go into this is in the visitor center. We go into the movie theater place there when they give you a little movie on the history of the making of the Capitol building. And it starts off by calling it the Temple of Liberty. And I turned to my wife, temple? Temples are for gods. Right? What God? Well, we just passed her in the hallway. Who is she? Who is Columbia? She is known as the Queen of Heaven. All throughout the scriptures, all throughout ancient history, throughout many cultures, she has many names. Semiramis being one of them. Ishtar, from which we get Easter. Isis, Columbia, Liberty, Diana, Venus. These are just a few of her names. Just like Nimrod, she's the wife of Nimrod, Semiramis. Cush had a daughter named Semiramis, whom he later married, his own daughter, and produced Nimrod. Okay, so that means that Semiramis is Nimrod's half-sister and mother. And then Nimrod turns around and marries Semiramis. So now his wife is also his half-sister and mother. You could walk into the Capitol Dome in Washington, D.C., look up into the...
Look around you, everybody sick, everybody lying. We got no fucking clue what's in the food that they're supplying. I'm too lazy to cook, so fast food is what I'm buying. I feed my kids sugar for breakfast, there's no denying that sugar rush is more addicting than the strongest drugs. But my kids are hungry, it's my job to fill their bellies up. I would've cooked them eggs, but my alarm ain't wake me up. So I pour a bowl of cereal every time we in the rush. There you go. And I probably should try harder to raise a healthy daughter. Estrogen gets boosted by the microplastics in the water. Hard times to be a father everywhere that I look. There's poison inside the ingredients of food that we cook. This what happens when a nation's motivation's making profit. Do the math. Fatter people really equals fatter pockets. They reduce our time on earth so they can buy expensive watches. They get us sick and sell us the medication to stop it. Why is mental health depression affecting the adolescent? You get labeled a conspiracy theorist for asking questions. You are what you eat, so watch the food that you digesting. Truthfully, we probably too late. We've been infected by the poison. This shit ain't food, just read the label, shit is poison. Nothing but chemicals on the table, shit is poison. Half the country turned disabled cause the poison. This shit ain't food, this is poison.
Poison. That's all it is, man. Go look at the labels on anything that's in your pantry right now. Poison.
We found the confiscated video the FBI took on the day of 9/11, proving it wasn't a plane, it was a Scud missile. There was talk amongst the community, because I've been awake for 20 years since this happened, that there was a Scud missile. The witnesses were silenced. The person who had this tape that turned it over to the FBI could see.
Shut up! We control everything. We've all worked very hard to keep our involvement in 9/11 a secret, but you just had to keep digging.
Really?
You won't get away with it. People know. People? You mean sheeple. Wait, what are you doing? You've been a thorn in our side for too long, I'm afraid. No, you can't do this. I'll take down the website. Too late.
He died like a pig.
Some pigs never learn.
No way. He was right. You did cause 9/11.
Yes, quite simple to pull off, really. All I had to do was have explosives planted in the base of the towers. Then on 9/11, we pretended like 4 planes were being hijacked, when really we just rerouted them to Pennsylvania, then flew 2 military jets in the World Trade Center filled with more explosives and shot down all the witnesses in Flight 93 with an F-15 after blowing up the Pentagon with a cruise missile. It was only the world's most intricate and flawlessly executed plan ever.
Really?
Watch the whole video if you really want to understand maritime law.
You know, your body is a corporation. By law, your body, your physical body is a corporation. So when you die, you're a corpse, because when you're living, you're a corporation. You are a business. and hanging out with that person is bad business.
Right.
Or who I hang out with is none of your business. Words and terms are based on maritime admiralty, the law of water. That's why when you go into a court, you have a gate, the people sit out here, and the judge sits inside. The gate is called a floodgate. When you go through the canal, you have a floodgate. So when you're sitting out here, you're in the law of the land. The judge has no control or no jurisdiction over the people sitting out here. No jurisdiction whatsoever. But
outside the gate.
That's outside the gate. That's on land. But when you walk past that gate, now you're in hot water, and someone's going to have to bail you out. The law of water, maritime admiralty, it's an extraordinary story about how governments rule the world. And unless you understand this, you're never going to figure out what's going on. When you walk into a courtroom and they call your name, you get up and you put your hand on the gate, and you open the gate. The moment you put your hand on the gate, by international law, you of your own volition have opened yourself up to maritime admiralty law, because you were on the law of the land. As long as you don't touch that gate and go through it, you haven't opened the floodgate. Now, once you open the floodgate, there's a piece of wood on top of that gate, and it's called the bar, and you're not licensed to pass the bar. So what you do,
what the CIA...
The wordplay is crazy, yo. We really got to learn and understand this wordplay because, man, look.
And the Defense Department have been doing for a long time as far as using us as guinea pigs for mind control and other types of horrible things they have in mind for us and the rest of the people in the world. What are some of them?
Well, it started out basically with the CIA doing experimentations on their own men to discover if they could get rid of agents who were going to quit the department and still had classified information. So they utilized different types of drugs and pain and hypnosis and electric shock to try and get the guys to forget. Then they also did experimentations to using different chemicals to see if you can induce a person to commit a crime or induce him to do that or to do this. Of course, the CIA claimed that it didn't carry it through. The documentation we got was actually that they did that. Then we came across the overall project called MK Ultra. Its earlier code name was Artichoke, and that included 149 sub-projects. And those sub-projects range from what I just described to open-air testing in the United States, experimentation on prisoners, experimentation on soldiers, experimentation on college students.
Would these people know they were being experimented on and gave their approval?
No.
My first piece of advice to you is let's take care of our mental and physical health first before we embark upon what is going to be a journey to rebuild these communities back and rebuild them better than they were when we started this fire.
The Africans came way later, 1900s later. I put that on screen. We were not brought over here by way of slave ships. I put that on screen. I showed you that there was no such thing as a slave ship. I put that on screen. Number one, they couldn't come straight across the Atlantic with the ocean gyres there. They would be lost to sea. Number two, you're not about to fit 100, 200, nobody on a sailboat. They can't carry that much weight on a sailboat. Don't forget that they're calling them ships, but they were boats. Wherries, rowboats, those are small. The cargo ships came in the 1850s, and the first 3 cargo ships were owned by 3 different people, and those cargo ships were not being utilized commercially. The commercial use of the cargo ships came in the late 1850s. By that time, you had, what, 10, 15 years more until slavery was allegedly abolished?
Well, it seems it's about that time again. Time I go patent hunting, because every time there's something big in the news, I seem to find a patent. And I don't know if you've seen this picture or this video. Or this video where things from the other fire west of LA, the blue things didn't seem to want to burn. None of them. Which brings us to this video, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen, where a certain color doesn't seem to be impacted by that directed light. Which brings us to US patent number 103378. You can see the rest, but click on it, and what do we have? I'm not even going to say it up there, but you can read, and you can click, and you can read, and you can scroll. Go look for yourself. I'll tell you one thing I probably know for sure, though, is I bet a lot of the elites in that area, I bet none of them lost their lives. I bet they had some advanced warning of what was coming. But of course, all this is just speculation and satire, and I don't even know if that is CGI, AI, or what, but if I were you, I'd use my noggin and research more myself.
I should have realized. I mean, they monitor everything, absolutely everything.
Elaborate on they.
They. Well, there's lots of groups, actually, lots of initials. I mean, CIA, FBI, IMF, you name it. They. But really, they're part of the big two opposing factions.
Which are?
What? One. Oh, some of them are really, really wealthy families. Their one thing is to maintain stability, or at least that's what they call it. The other group is Eisenhower's industrial military complex, and they want to maintain instability, so they say.
So you're saying that Group 1 is warring with Group 2?
Yes, at some levels they're at war, but at other levels there's the same group. It's really scary. I mean, it's hand in glove, Cold Wars, hot wars. Then they sit back and watch the whole damn show.
Jerry,
what?
Take a breath.
Okay.
All lies will be exposed.
Facts.
To become president of the United States, you must travel to Israel, visit the Western Wall, don the hat, and pay homage. You must also speak before AIPAC and promise what you will use your position for in order to help Israel. All presidents must do this, as I'm showing above. Now, it's in my personal opinion that I think this is too much. I think this influences the priorities of the president and the priorities of the country. As we've seen in the past year, we've watched the country on multiple occasions prioritize the needs of a foreign country over the needs of its own people. We prioritize people overseas more than our own civilians, even during natural disasters such as hurricanes. So I highly disagree with this requirement of all presidents. And I think America should act like a superpower and not be bullied around or beholden to others. Because all that you've seen above, I mean, come on, that's a bit ridiculous.
My take on it is that these people aren't true Americans. They don't have America at heart, right? They have the foreign land. That's their true land, and that's what they're going to defend and protect and make sure they're all good, and that's where all the interest is going to be. It's not on helping this land. No, this is the cash cow to help the other places.
Not emerge from a government-funded program. It will emerge from one of the tech giants currently funding this multi-billion-dollar research. So then you'll be living in a world that you didn't agree to, didn't vote for, that you are co-inhabiting with a super-intelligent alien species that answers to the goals and rules of a corporation, an entity which has access to the comms, beliefs, everything you ever said, and the whereabouts of every person in the country via your personal data. Surveillance capitalism can toggle pretty quickly into digital totalitarianism. At best, these tech giants become the self-appointed arbiters of human good, which is the fox guarding the henhouse. They would never ever think of using that power against us and strip mining us for our last drop of cash. That's a scarier scenario than what I presented in the Terminator 40 years ago, if for no other reason than it's no longer science fiction. It's happening.
Rockefeller were Rothschilds, Rothschilds were Orsini, Orsini were a family which have their bloodlines in Babylon and Egypt. They tell you that. You read their biographies, they'll tell you that. We go back to Nimrod. They tell you that. The Rothschilds say that. We go back to Nimrod. How? Through the Orsinis. So Rockefeller, Rothschild, Orsini, and then you go back to the Persian and Egyptian dynasties. The Jesuits represent, they are the military arm of the Vatican, which is Catholic, and Catholic means universal, hence they're trying to claim that they are the universal Christendom base. The Pentagon is owned by the Farnese family, though.
Oh my God, somebody owns the Pentagon. They're all ran by the Jesuits.
Absolutely.
And then all the crime families are all Catholic-based. They're ran by the Jesuits, so they're playing both sides of this ball.
Absolutely they do. They're masters at it. They have to. Otherwise, they get caught out. They have to run both sides. They're co-opting everything. You see these graphs?
They built the largest U.S. embassy in the Western Hemisphere in Haiti, and it is the 4th largest U.S. embassy in the world. While they're telling you we have no resources, okay? But another thing, Haiti has an extraterrestrial material that is found nowhere else in the world except South Africa, and it's the purest in Haiti. We have an asteroid mountain in different places. We have mountains, they're made of asteroid. They use this asteroid because it's the remain of this asteroid that is so heat resistant that they use for spacecrafts. 1 ton of Haiti's iridium.
Iridium. I wanted to get to
Iridium
that. Yeah.
is worth $45 billion. We have mountains of it. So what the UN occupation is that they put soldiers and private military contractors in UN uniforms. They're everywhere in Haiti, digging out the mountains.
I'm 9 years old right now. We eat babies. We drink their blood. Okay. Because this is how we do it. So that on Wednesdays is the most special, busiest day, is a special day.
Okay. We'll take it little bit by little bit.
As I said, we kill babies, we drink their blood, we eat them. But then after, so the social services who are in it, they go to families, so the families can't afford, so they get a baby but they can't look after it, or anything, they can't buy food, or they can't buy clothes, they can't look after it. So the families who sell their children, so the social services get them, they say they get them to a foster home, but they don't. They get the babies or the children, and then they get the baby, they hang it upside down. And yes, over the string. They put a string, it's like a circle string, tie it to the legs, hang it upside down, and then they get a special, the knife they use for cutting the baby's head off.
Where is it that happens?
The church, the kitchen in our church.
The kitchen in the church?
Yes.
Yo. Too much detail to say that she's lying. I'm just saying, like, what 9-year-old you know is going to recall that information to that detail? You know what I'm saying? This stuff's been going on for years, right? And I feel like ever since the medieval times, right, they've been sacrificing their children, giving their children to certain gods, right? Gods. They still do it now, just in the names, different names, right, to make it not seem like it's so crazy. Social services.
Go from New York to Brazil, Buenos Aires, and then Antarctica, without ever coming up to the surface for air. And you can do it all at way more than 1,000 miles an hour on magnetic levitation trains, otherwise called maglev. One thing he told me, he went from Virginia to Los Angeles in 45 minutes.
That's crazy.
Do the math, 3,000 miles an hour. Most people don't even believe that there's a tunnel network. There are hundreds of thousands of miles of tunnel systems.
Has just discovered blueprints for a network of tunnels beneath the mansion that supposedly led to the homes of Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, James Caan.
Will you watch yourself on?
And Kirk Douglas. Now dig this. A photo from the late 70s allegedly showing an excavation in progress beneath the mansion. And this one shows the newly discovered tunnel plans. Check out the bunny logo on the plywood wall.
Wow.
Best of all, the blueprint. It says this tunnel leads to James Caan's house. This one to Jack Nicholson's. This one to Kirk Douglas's. And this one goes all the way.
Wow, that's crazy.
Why do you think every store is pushing self-checkout so hard? It's not about efficiency, it's about control. Right now, it feels convenient. Scan your items, pay, and go. But Phase 1 is always about getting us comfortable. Phase 2, stores with no employees, no cashiers, just shelves, cameras, and drones watching your every move. And here's the twist, it's not just about monitoring. They'll control what you can buy using something called carbon credits. Every product you pick up will deduct from your yearly limit. Want a fancy lab-grown steak? Sure, but that might cost you all your credits for the year. Luxury items will be rationed, and you'll be stuck with sustainable choices they decide are good for you. Think about it. The illusion of choice, but your groceries, your meals, all pre-approved by AI systems. Step out of line, pick up something unauthorized, and boom, the drones flag you. Maybe they even shut down your payment chip. They're building a system where you don't decide what's in your cart. They do. And it all starts with a simple self-checkout. Convenient, right? Or is it the perfect trap?
This is just a theory, not a fact.
The National Guard men and women that have been on here, we pre-positioned 120 engines, helicopters, dozers, water tenders. We did that on Sunday, 2 days before this event.
Why?
To rebuild these communities back and rebuild them better than they were when we started this fire.
So for the purpose of sterilization and population control, there's too many people on the planet we need to get rid of. In the words of Bill Gates, at least 3 billion people need to die. So we'll just start off in Africa. We'll start doing our research there, and we'll eliminate most of the Africans because they're deplorable. They're worthless. They're not part of this world economy. So they have their rights taken away, and they're suppressed and they're experimented. It's not a bacterial war. It's a systemic poisoning war. And they're using chemical warfare against all of us.
You're going to want to hear this.
We opened a center in Silicon Valley back in 2017. And the woman who runs it, she's an ex-Facebook executive. I have software engineers and data scientists working at ADL. We're monitoring all this stuff. And we're working with all the platforms, by the way. Google and YouTube and Meta and Twitter and Reddit and Steam and Amazon, all these companies. From like Apple to Zoom, we work with all of them, okay? That's relevant because we've been working with Twitter now since it was founded. We worked with the old regime, working with the new regime. Like I'm talking to Elon, and we're trying to work with them.
He's literally bragging out loud about how they have daily meetings with all the social media companies. Sorry, not even just social media platforms. He said Zoom, private conversations in order to censor speech they do not like. And let's just be 100% straight up. The ADL is not a civil rights group. It is an intelligence organization operating within the United States on behalf of another country.
Yep. Hey, y'all, check this shit out.
Over some of the things that I heard in this meeting, it's very diabolical. All the perpetrators of this event are here. They're building up from a planned disaster by the use of directed energy weapons, which you can hear that interview in full by Googling the plan to burn up Northern California. And of course,
this is on your site, stopthecrime.net.
Yes, and I am, of course, am Deborah Taveras, and I do run the website stopthecrime.net, where you can find that plan to burn up Northern California as well. But the agenda here today by the perpetrators here in Northern California was to, again, discuss the community warning program, preparing for a more resilient county. Now, for many of you, I've reported on resilient cities. I would recommend that you go to the YouTube Kill Cities by Rothschild and Rockefeller to understand what resilient planning is all about in your town. This is happening here in Sonoma County, but it's an extension of UN Agenda 21 policy.
Infrared from the satellites. Now wait for it. What is that? Did y'all see that? That is laser. And on the screen you can see what they often use that for, I'm sure. Apparently this is coming from Daywalker 378. But we got more on.
Starting to figure this out now, folks? So what's it all really about? Well, magically, they've got a smart grid they wanted to go in Lahaina 3 years ago. They voted down in Maui. And a year after they refused to go along with it, it got burned to the ground. And now they're not letting people keep their homes. They're coming and say, we're going to build all those high rises and build Bill Gates' new Four Seasons. You know, he owns Four Seasons. Oh, yeah, they get what they want now in the oldest modern community in Hawaii. By that, I mean, it's the first, Western settlement there. Beautiful place. Best whale watch in the world. Been there a few times. Love it. It's not there anymore. And they're not giving people really any money for their property now. Just pushing them aside. And then magically, right where the smart LA 2028 with the tens and tens of billions, they had to come in and tear everything down and build this new smart city and block cars from coming in that Klaus Schwab called for. Magically, the people wouldn't sell. And so magically, they got y'all burn out. And the reservoir was drained. And there was no water for the fire hydrants. And they didn't cut the brush. And magically, those fires started right when the winds came in, didn't they? I guarantee you the bad guys deliberately set those in their little copycat minions went out and have been caught everywhere setting more fires. Because, you know, all these movies where the Joker's the good guy now, they like to burn everything down.
Facts.
Egyptians knew that this animal is the mutation that occurred during the crossbreeding of the dat, a dog and a cat, and the rat. The pig was cloned through genetic splicing for a specific purpose. Their crossbreeding is the result of 3 animals: the rat, the cat, and the dog.
So a pig is just a rat, cat, and a dog gene spliced together. Specifically, a bobcat, a hyena, and a muskrat creates a pig. So every time you eat a pig, you're eating a hyena, a muskrat, and a bobcat. It explains itself. It's the lowest level of animal on the planet, let alone it's not even supposed to be here. It's not even a natural animal.
Darn Elijah Muhammad, the person that taught me and woke me up about pork and everything else I know that makes any sense, told me that it was made from the cat, the rat, and the dog. We can see some of those animals in it because the pig also has whiskers.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot of things, as I said, that once you see a pig, it's a whole different. Once I saw a cow, I wasn't that impressed. Or a chicken. Or turkey. I've seen some other animals. Even a cat and a dog. But once you see a pig, it really changes your idea about using it for food. Or watching anybody else use it for food. Or kissing anybody that's using it for food.
Dr. Sebi, they say that
This is the World Submarine Cables Map. I want you to think of South America as 1, Africa as 2, and Australia as 3. Notice how there is no cables from here to here or here to here. You might ask, why is that important? Here's why. The reason you will never see these cables connected is because look how far the distance is from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, and the vast distance from 1 to 3. But Ryan, what about these cables here? Oh yeah, you mean the short distance right here? But you might ask yourself, Ryan, why is that important? Over 99% of the world's internet traffic, including international phone calls and data transfers, rely on cables. Not satellites, cables. Y'all, pull up any map of sea cables and you will see that none of these touch. Because we live on a flat, geocentric plane.
Here, I actually don't value anything in dollars anymore. I either value it in XRP or I value it in gold. I actually believe the entire dollar system is how should I put it? A
Ponzi scheme.
It's worse than that. It's almost like a bank structured scheme to enrich the people that manage the money while impoverishing the people that use the money. It's almost.
And listen to what he says. He is spot on here. Listen to how he lays this out. This is exactly the way it works.
It's like this, right? The banks tell you to put your money in the bank and save it. But you put your money in the bank for them to buy assets, for them to get rich off of, just for your money to lose its value so they can pay you back with cheaper dollars. See what
this young man is brilliant. I mean, he gets it.
I mean, you don't want to necessarily call it exactly a scam. It's one of those, you get the shortest end of the stick.
People ask me why their grandparents or great-grandparents never talked about the reset. Why don't they remember anything about it? Well, let me try to explain it. First, there were the Cabbage Patch Babies. Now, these weren't just toys, you see. They became a symbol of something much bigger, a massive repopulation effort after the reset. These babies, they weren't born the usual way. They were produced almost mechanically in large numbers and distributed through a cold, efficient system. Strange, isn't it? Brings to mind ideas like cloning, doesn't it? And maybe that's why today you see so many folks who just seem to go with the flow. No questions, no thinking. Did you know they say nearly half the population doesn't even have an internal monologue? Imagine that, living life with a quiet mind, just following along. Those babies, those orphan trains, they were shipped off along with abandoned children who had survived the reset, taken from their families, sent to faraway lands. Many ended up in America. And when they got there, they were given a new story, the official version of history. No elders left to tell them the truth. Nobody to remember how things used to be. It made them easier to control, you see, easier to accept the new narrative.
Go look at the interview with John McAfee a couple years before he died, where he said,
I donated to many secretaries within the government laptop computers, really nice ones that were preloaded with viral spyware. Within a week, the entire government computer system was under my control. I was watching, monitoring, listening. I was looking for information that they had set me up for that raid. I didn't find it. I did find out that the Minister of National Defense was the largest drug trafficker in all of Central America. The Minister of Immigration, the largest human trafficker.
you don't think people out here playing chess, bro? You must be delusional.
Gotta be delusional if you don't think that, man. McAfee knew what he was doing. And part of me wants to believe that he's not really gone. He might have already known. He might have already had one up on them, you know? But yeah, man, these are some of the most strange and creepy TikToks that are out there. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe, turn your notification bells on, and until next time, YouTube, peace.